Have you ever wondered why some Bibles have more books than others? Why do Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, and Jewish texts differ in the books they include in their Bibles? In today's video, we'll explore the fascinating history and reasoning behind these differences. Break down terms like canonical, apocryphal, and Deuterocanonical, and ask the ultimate question: who decided which books belong in the Bible? The canonical books are the officially recognized scriptures that form the foundation of religious beliefs in Judaism and Christianity. However, the selection of these books has been shaped by centuries of religious tradition, debate, and historical events, leading to differences between Jewish and Christian Bibles. Understanding which books are included in each religious tradition helps reveal how faith communities have preserved and interpreted their sacred texts over time. In Judaism, the sacred scriptures are known as the Tanakh, which consists of 24 books divided into 3 main sections. The Torah, also called the Pentateuch, contains the first 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. These books are considered the most sacred, as they outline the laws and early history of the Jewish people. The Nevi'im, or prophets, includes historical and prophetic books such as Joshua, Judges, 1 and 2 Samuel, 1 and 2 Kings, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel, along with the 12 minor prophets, which feature writings from Hosea, Joel, Amos, and others. The Ketuvim, or writings, contains a diverse collection of books, including Psalms, Proverbs, Job, Song of Songs, Ruth, Lamentations, Ecclesiastes, Esther, Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, and 1 and 2 Chronicles. These texts form the foundation of Jewish religious life and are read and studied in synagogues worldwide. Christianity adopted many of these same books as part of the Old Testament, but also added the New Testament, which contains 27 books focused on the life, teachings, and legacy of Jesus Christ. The Old Testament in Christian Bibles includes the books found in the Jewish Tanakh, but different Christian traditions divide and arrange these books in slightly different ways. The New Testament introduces new writings exclusive to Christianity, beginning with the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which tell the story of Jesus' life, ministry, death, and resurrection. The Acts of the Apostles details the spread of early Christianity. The Pauline epistles written by the Apostle Paul include letters to early Christian communities such as Romans, Corinthians, Galatians, and Thessalonians, offering theological guidance. The general epistles such as Hebrews, James, 1 and 2 Peter, and 1, 2, and 3 John provide further teachings and encouragement for believers. Finally, the book of Revelation is a prophetic text that presents apocalyptic visions of the end times. The reason why Jewish and Christian Bibles differ in structure and content is deeply rooted in religious history. Jewish scholars finalized their canon around the 1st century CE, ensuring that only Hebrew and Aramaic texts were included while excluding other writings, such as those found in the Greek Septuagint. Early Christians, however, embraced additional writings and gradually formed the New Testament through church councils and theological debates. By the 4th century, councils like the Council of Carthage and the Council of Rome helped establish the Christian canon. Later, divisions within Christianity, such as the Protestant Reformation, led to further debates over which books should be considered authoritative. These differences raise important questions about the nature of scripture and religious authority. Should the Christian Old Testament perfectly align with the Jewish Tanakh? Were the New Testament books divinely inspired or carefully selected based on theological concerns? Who had the final say in determining which books were sacred and which were not? Understanding the history of these canonical books provides a deeper insight into the faith and traditions that have shaped Judaism and Christianity over thousands of years. What do you think about these differences in Scripture? Should all Christian denominations follow the same canon? Hello and welcome to our channel. We're so excited to have you here as we explore fascinating topics, dive into intriguing stories, and share content that informs, inspires, and sparks curiosity. Whether you're here for the first time or returning for more, we truly appreciate you. A special thank you to all our subscribers and loyal viewers. Your support means the world to us. You're the reason we keep creating and growing this amazing community. If you haven't subscribed yet, What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your family and friends, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so that you will never miss out on our latest content. We'd also love to hear your thoughts, so be sure to leave a comment below and join the conversation. Apocryphal books are texts that were left out of the official biblical canon but played a significant role in early Jewish and Christian communities. The term apocryphal means hidden or non-canonical, indicating that these books were not universally accepted as scripture. While they were revered by some groups, they were eventually excluded from mainstream Jewish and Christian Bibles due to theological debates, questions about authorship, and the availability of older manuscripts that did not support their inclusion. Many of these books contain stories, prophecies, and teachings that expand on biblical narratives, yet they remain outside of most recognized canons. Some of the most well-known apocryphal books include 1 and 2 Esdras, which provide additional historical perspectives on events described in the Old Testament. The Book of Jubilees, sometimes called the Lesser Genesis, reinterprets the Book of Genesis and includes detailed accounts of biblical figures. The Book of Enoch, a highly mystical and apocalyptic text, describes visions of heaven, fallen angels, and the end of times. Though rejected by most Jewish and Christian traditions, the Book of Enoch remains a part of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church's canon. Other apocryphal texts focus on the life and teachings of Jesus, but were not included in the New Testament. The Gospel of Thomas is a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus, emphasizing wisdom and self-discovery rather than his crucifixion and resurrection. The Apocalypse of Peter presents a vivid depiction of heaven and hell, offering an early Christian vision of the afterlife that differs from later doctrinal beliefs. Different religious traditions hold varying views on these texts. In Judaism, apocryphal books were mostly excluded from the Hebrew Bible after the 1st century, as Jewish scholars prioritized texts written in Hebrew and Aramaic while rejecting those primarily found in Greek, such as 1 and 2 Esdras. In Christianity, early church leaders debated the inclusion of some of these books, with many being rejected due to concerns about authenticity or theological consistency. While the Catholic and Orthodox churches retained some Deuterocanonical books, most apocryphal books were excluded from both Protestant and Catholic Bibles. Despite their exclusion from official canons, apocryphal books remain historically and religiously significant. They provide insights into the diverse beliefs of early Jewish and Christian communities and offer a glimpse into the theological debates that shaped the formation of the Bible. Many scholars and religious historians continue to study these texts for their cultural, spiritual, and historical value. The question remains, should these apocryphal books have been included in the Bible? Are they valuable sources of wisdom, or do they lack the divine inspiration found in canonical texts? The Deuterocanonical books are a collection of biblical texts that are accepted in Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Bibles, but are rejected by Protestant traditions. The term Deuterocanonical means second canon, suggesting that these books were acknowledged later in history, particularly during debates over the biblical canon in early Christianity. While these books were widely used in early Christian communities, they were later removed from certain traditions due to theological differences and disputes over their divine inspiration. The Catholic Bible includes several Deuterocanonical books that are not found in Protestant Bibles. These books include Tobit, Judith, Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, Baruch, 1 and 2 Maccabees, and additional sections of Esther and Daniel, such as the Prayer of Azariah and Bel and the Dragon. These books were part of the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of Hebrew scriptures that was widely used by early Christians. Because the Septuagint was considered authoritative by early church leaders, the Catholic Church maintained these books as part of its official canon. The Eastern Orthodox Church includes all the Deuterocanonical books found in the Catholic Bible, but also recognizes additional texts that are not part of either the Catholic or Protestant canons. These extra books include 3 Maccabees, 4 Maccabees, and Psalm 151, which are found in certain Orthodox traditions. Some branches of Eastern Orthodoxy also include 1st Esdras and the Prayer of Manasseh, further distinguishing their canon from the Catholic and Protestant versions. The Protestant Reformation in the 16th century led to the removal of the Deuterocanonical books from Protestant Bibles. Reformers such as Martin Luther argued that the Old Testament should include only the books found in the Hebrew Bible, which did not contain the Deuterocanonical texts. As a result, Protestant Bibles follow the Jewish canon, which excludes these books, considering them useful for historical context, but not divinely inspired scripture. While some Protestant Bibles, such as the King James Version, KJV of 1611, originally included the Deuterocanonical books in a separate section labeled apocrypha, most modern Protestant Bibles omit them entirely. The Book of Maccabees, for example, is highly significant for understanding Jewish history, particularly the events surrounding the Maccabean revolt, which led to the festival of Hanukkah. Despite its historical value, Protestants do not include 1 and 2 Maccabees in their canon because these books were not part of the Hebrew Bible. The Wisdom of Solomon and Sirach contain teachings similar to those found in Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, but they were also excluded due to concerns over their late composition and lack of clear prophetic authorship. The debate over the Deuterocanonical books raises important questions about the nature of biblical authority. Why did early Christians include these books while later traditions removed them? Should biblical canon be determined by historical use, theological alignment, or divine inspiration? If these books were widely read in the early church, should they still be considered scripture today? What do you think about the differences between Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant Bibles? Should all Christian denominations use the same canon, or should each tradition maintain its distinct version? The differences in biblical texts across religious traditions can be traced back to key historical decisions made by religious councils and leaders. These variations in Scripture have shaped how different faiths understand and interpret the Bible, leading to distinct canons in Judaism, Catholicism, Protestantism, and Eastern Orthodoxy. In Jewish tradition, the finalization of the Hebrew Bible occurred after the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE. Jewish scholars and religious leaders determined which books should be considered authoritative and included in their sacred scriptures. A major factor in this decision was the language of the texts. Many Greek-written books, such as Tobit and Judith, were excluded from the Jewish canon because they were not originally composed in Hebrew or Aramaic, the traditional languages of Jewish scripture. Instead, Jewish leaders chose to adhere strictly to the Hebrew texts, forming what is now known as the Tanakh, which is equivalent to the Protestant Old Testament but arranged differently. In Protestant tradition, the removal of certain books from the Bible occurred during the 16th century Reformation led by Martin Luther and other reformers. Martin Luther and his followers argued that the Old Testament should only contain books that were included in the Hebrew Bible, rejecting texts that were part of the Greek Septuagint, which had been widely used by early Christians. As a result, Protestant Bibles do not include the Deuterocanonical books, such as Tobit, Judith, Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach, Baruch, and 1 and 2 Maccabees. These books had been accepted in Catholic and Orthodox traditions for centuries, but were deemed non-authoritative by Protestant reformers because they were not found in the Jewish canon. In Catholic tradition, the inclusion of the Deuterocanonical books was formally reaffirmed in the Council of Trent in 1546. The Catholic Church maintained that these books had been widely used in early Christianity and had been part of the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Scriptures. Since early Christians relied heavily on the Septuagint, the Catholic Church considered these books divinely inspired and continued to include them in the Catholic Bible. This decision solidified the 73-book canon used by Catholics today, which includes both the Old Testament and the New Testament. In Eastern Orthodox tradition, the canon is even broader than the Catholic canon, as Orthodox Christianity followed the Greek Septuagint tradition more extensively. In addition to the Deuterocanonical books found in Catholic Bibles, Orthodox Bibles also include 3 Maccabees, 4 Maccabees, and Psalm 151, which are not found in Catholic or Protestant Bibles. Some Orthodox traditions also recognize 1st Esdras and the prayer of Manasseh as scriptural. Because of this, Orthodox Christianity has one of the most expansive biblical canons, including books that were widely read in early Jewish and Christian communities, but later removed by Jewish and Protestant traditions. These differences in biblical canon raise important theological and historical questions. Why did early Christians accept certain books that later Jewish scholars rejected? Should biblical canon be determined by early usage, theological consistency, or divine inspiration? If the Septuagint was used by Jesus and the Apostles, should its books be considered scripture in all Christian traditions? Or did the Reformers make the right decision by aligning the Old Testament with the Jewish canon? The debate over which books belong in the Bible is not just a historical issue. It continues to shape religious beliefs and practices today. What do you think about the differences in biblical canon across Judaism, Catholicism, Protestantism, and Orthodoxy? Should all Christian denominations follow the same canon, or should each tradition maintain its distinct version of the Bible? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed exploring today's topic and gained some valuable insights. If you found this video helpful or thought-provoking, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let us know what you think or suggest topics you'd like us to cover next. Your support means the world to us. Thank you so much for being part of this community. We can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and take care.